I'm Olebara Comforts, a lecturer in Imo State University, Owerri, Nigeria. I'll be presenting on the topic determining the impacts of social media on students' mood, time management, and their academic activities. We're looking at it from the Nigerian perspective. Now, we'll be discussing the problem, why it is important, what has been done by other researchers, what we did, how we worked on it, our findings, takeaways from our findings. Then we'll make our recommendations. Firstly, as a mom to about 4 undergraduates right now and a lecturer secondly, we have encountered students having different challenges and mostly kind of addicted to their smartphones. So, and we've been concerned about this. You have them in the car, they're on their phones, in the house, 1 minute of attention, they are off again to their phones. In the midnight, you check on them, they're on their phones. In the classroom, they're multitasking your academic teachings with their cell phones. They have mood swings. The attendance in our classes are very low. You find a class of about 250 students, you only get to see about 100 of them in the class. Then, of course, their results are poor. And overall performance is also very low. Now, again, Nigeria has a peculiar problem. Our unemployment ratio is very high. The level of unemployment in Nigeria is very high. According to Quest Africa, it's put at about 27%. That's the unemployment level in Nigeria. That culminates to about 21 million Nigerians being unemployed. Now, we decided to kind of interview some of these students to know what actually they do with these phones, and then we found that the primary reason why they are kind of addicted to their phones is social media. From the interviews, we find that some of them have between 1 to 7 accounts, 7 social media accounts. Some spend between 1 hour to 13 hours on daily basis on social media. So we actually got concerned about this and decided to work on it. Now, this we think is important because the future of any country or nation depends largely on the quality of future leaders it is able to produce. Now, having a generation of undergraduates who are addicted to socialization, now while playing down of academics and emotional stability, I think is a big problem for any nation. Now, we looked at what other researchers have done in the past. We found that current studies actually have been focused on finding performance of the students using their grade point average. Yebua in 2014 investigated the impact of WhatsApp messaging on Ghanaian students. Now, Krishna also in 2010 studied the impact of multitasking Facebook with studies. And then he found that most Facebook users reportedly have lower GPAs and spend fewer hours studying. Now, we decided now to look at the reviews in Nigeria. We found that nothing much has been done in this area in Nigeria. The little work we saw, we are focused on finding the impact of one social media application or another on the students' academic performance. So we decided to kind of do a holistic view of all accounts people possess, like people within our study group. We decided to check how many, all the accounts, be the Facebook, the TikTok, the WhatsApp, all the accounts they have, how these put together can affect the level of their time management, how it affects their mood, and how it affects their academic performance. Now, we chose to work on it by carrying out a survey of the target group. We developed our survey using Google Forms and sent the survey to the students. Now, in the survey, we had 5 sections, close-ended questions, as well as Likert scale statements. Now, the distribution was sent to them using their WhatsApp platform because at the time the study started, the academic staff of universities in Nigeria, we are observing a strike action. So we couldn't reach the students. We had to make use of we had to reach them through our colleagues, the lecturers, and we're able to reach different departments, different faculties in 2 Nigerian public universities. Okay, so 3,000 forms were sent out, but only a total of 396 respondents participated in our study. Then the data we encoded and processed and analyzed using SPSS version 20. Now, we developed 3 research hypotheses, which will show how we analyzed and then got our results here. First hypothesis, we actually tried to find the effects social media has on academic activities of the students. Now, in order to find this relationship, we decided to ask questions in this domain. The responses we got from the students, we are calculated, we got the total scores, we got the average total score by dividing each total by the number of questions in that domain. And then we categorized the variables. The first variable was total questions on social media activities. We had another one on total academic activities. Now we categorized these by kind of using descriptive statistical analysis to get the mean. Now we categorized by people that scores the mean and above are rated as having high social media activity and high academic activity, as the case may be. Now, people below that score below the mean, we categorize them as people with low social media activity and also people with low academic activities. So with these categories, we're able to run our binary logistic regression, and we got our odds ratio. Excuse me. Now, the scatter plots here shows the total social media scores and the total academic scores. Now, the dots on orange color shows the total social media scores, and then visually we see that the social media score is way above their academic activity score. That means that they participate more in social media than they do in their academics. Now, our results showed a ratio, odds ratio, which is 0.594. And we know that any odd ratio below 1 signifies a negative relationship. Therefore, we also tested to see if our data was statistically significant. And we got a p-value of 0.012, which is less than 0.05 max value for significance. So, of course, we accepted that our work is significant statistically, and then our odd ratio of negative relationship now proves to us that our hypothesis is real. Yes, so we accepted the alternative hypothesis and rejected the null. So in essence, this shows that there's a negative association between social media activities and the academic activities of the students. That means the more they get involved in social media, the less they get involved in the academic work. Now, our second hypothesis we tested to know if the social media posts or comments affect students' mood. That is, if it makes them angry or depressed. Now, this is important to us in Nigeria because recently we've been engaged, or we've noticed an increase in the rate of terrorism in Nigeria. Students drop out of school to join terrorist groups. It's no longer secret that, like I said earlier, we hardly see our students in the class. Now, in a class of 250, you get to see 100. But during the exams, you see all the students in the exam hall. And the result of this is that they do poorly, they perform poorly. Okay, so we checked to know how social media involvement, posts affect their mood. And then for this, we used Likert questions, which we can call ordinal form of question. So our binary could not work on it. We used ordinal logistic regression analysis to work on this. Now we had our categories also, but only on categorized social media score. The other was now Likert form questions that it enables them answer strongly agree, strongly disagree, disagree, neutral, agree, and strongly agree to the question on if social media affects their mood or makes them feel angry. So from their answers, we're able to run our ordinal logistic regression analysis. Now we use the plum method for this. It's actually the plum method couldn't give us our odds ratio, so we had to use the output management system, which kind of the command that saves our parameter estimates to our plum file, and finally computes the exponentiated regression coefficients, as well as the confidence interval bounds. Now the results we got from that showed us that the odds ratio, let me start from that, is 0.606, which is again less than 1. So there's a negative relationship. Now we looked at the significance value, which is p-value, which is now we got 0.007. It's still less than 0.05. And that means it is significant. Now we have this chart that shows that, I hope you can see my mouse here. Students with high social media activities strongly agree that social media affects their mood. We have more of them scoring here for people with high social media activities. They agree and strongly agree. While the people with low social media activities disagree, they score more on the disagree and strongly disagree ends. That means that students who have low social media activities do not agree that social media affects them, while students with high social media activities agree. In fact, they strongly agree that social media is a contributing factor to their moods, especially bad moods. Now, the next and the third one, which is the last one, is we tested to know if the level of social media involvement affects the students' time management ability. Now, on this, when we say involvement, we don't mean students who just come to the social media, make a comment or respond to a comment and then move on. We talk about students that are fully involved as a form of responsibility. We have them as class reps, we have them as student reps, we have them as reps in various forms of students. And their duty or responsibility is to make sure that they update the students with the happenings around, either for lectures, for whatever they need to do as students. So they are always on the social media, giving information, receiving information from lecturers, from students. So they are fully involved. Apart from this, some others are just addicted. They want to get TikTok, involved in TikTok. They will have role models they watch out for. Whenever the role model posts an update, they want to be involved in it. So we want to know how this affects this time management of the students, how they're able to do the involvement and also manage their times. Now, in Nigeria, we have the ISPs who offer free services at midnight. Now, the students, even if they don't have money, can stay up at night on the internet, having their social media free. So most of the times, the students use that. They get online at night, browse till 7 a.m. or whatever the time in the morning, and then get sleepy. So with that, they hardly attend classes. So we want to know the level or to what extent their involvement in Facebook affects their time management. So we also gave questions that relate to their involvement and their time management. So we asked questions like how many hours you spend on social media. Some of them answered between 9 to 13 hours daily. And we now calculated this, we categorized their involvement, and then as well as the interval data on hours they spent on social media. Now the results. Now we found that students with high involvement between 13 to 13 hours and above, they actually don't do well academically. Yes, because they are highly involved in social media, and looking at the time they spend high hours on social media. So from our results also, we got an exponentiated coefficient of 0.154, which means there's also a negative relationship between the hours they spend on the social media and their time management of academic activities. We also got this to be significant at a p-value of 0.006. Again, this is below 0.05, so we accept it as statistically significant. So we are therefore also accept our alternative hypothesis and reject the null. So our key findings, firstly, on the effect of social media activities on academic activities, we found that spending many hours on social media daily negatively affects the academic activities participation level of the students. We also found on the second effect of social media involvement on students' time management ability, we found that high level of social media involvement has a negative effect on students' time management ability. Then lastly, on effects of social media comments on students' mood. That's if it makes them angry or depressed. We found that social media activities have a negative effect on the mood of undergraduates, sorry. This means that the students could get depressed because of their social media experiences. Now, conclusion and recommendations. From our findings, we conclude that time spent on social media results in lesser commitments to academic activities. It also results in inefficient time management ability, and that the social media activities and experiences could be a contributing factor to bad mood, to violence in our society, to incited feelings and students or youth getting aggrieved and they're reacting adversely. We recommend, therefore, that our government should put in place policies through the National University Commission for the institutions to provide internet services. This is basic. We are not asking for much, but right now in Nigeria, this is not the case. We don't have infrastructure. We don't even have, the students do not have access to internet services in the campuses. So we are requesting for this as recommendation. And with that, the institutions will be able to control the sites students visit, especially when academic activities is going on. So they won't be able to visit any site, even when in the lecture halls and in the exam halls, and then use their phones indiscriminately. Secondly, we recommend that in addition to physical laboratories, phone-based virtual laboratories, simulation applications, practical-based applications be introduced in teaching, together with the face-to-face that we are observing presently, so that alternative engagements that will be beneficial to the students' academic pursuits will be made available to them. In fact, I believe that, especially in computer science, if we have students who can be taught with applications on how to run their programming, simulation of various labs, now instead of being engaged in social media, they could find that as an alternative engagement. Okay. Now, our future work, like our title read initially, we intended working on this impact, the impact of social media on time management, on the mood of students, on academic activities, and then wanted to find the relationship with their academic performance. But we're not able to do that because, like I said earlier also, our institutions in Nigeria were on observing a strike action as at the time of this study. So now that the schools are open, we'll have access to the results, we'll have access to sessional results and so on. So we want to further our work by finding the relationship of these effects with their academic performance. Thank you. I now wait for your questions.
Thank you so much, Comfort, for your presentation and for all the recommendations. We have one question from an anonymous person. Thank you for your research. While your work focuses on Nigeria, can your work be extended to other geographies, and if so, how? And the second question is, what was your sample size, and how can you extend your work in the future?
Okay, sorry, can I get the first question again?
So the question is, while your work focuses on Nigeria, can your work be extended to other places, and if so, how?
Yes, our work can be extended to other countries, but we needed to find a common ground, starting with the Nigerian youths. We have our peculiarities, especially as a result of the violence presently in Nigeria, the terrorism in Nigeria. These affect the youths. In fact, the last time I had students in my class, I kind of gave them the option of telling me their problems, write it down anonymously and just send it to me. They told me they feel insecure even leaving their houses to school. So we felt that our case is kind of peculiar because of insecurity. And then we have people at the background recruiting the youth into these societies. So that's why we felt we should look at our immediate environment and factor out a way to help the youth concentrate more on their academics. But I know the results can be applicable to other places.
Okay, and the other question is, what was your sample size?
Like I said, we sent out over 3,000 forms. We used 2 Nigerian government-owned universities. But because of the striking action and then the COVID pandemic, we started this in 2020. So of all the forms we sent out, we could only get 396. So we worked on that.
Perfect. And the last question, I'm aware of time. How can you extend your work in the future?
Yes, now schools are in session. We intend to get the results, previous results of the students, because we ask them questions like, when did you acquire your cell phone? Some said in their 200 level, some in 100 level, some in final year. That was when they acquired their smartphones. So we intend to find how the performance were before they acquired their smartphones. So we also wanted to have background knowledge of your first year results, cumulative, and so on. So we want to extend that and relate it to what we've done so far.
Perfect. I'm aware that we're running out of time, so thank you so much.